Maher is getting hit like never before.
Okay, yes, you should vote. And it should be for the one party that still stands for democracy preservation.
At first I thought he was joking. He's not joking. The democracy in the United States was stolen a long time ago, Bill, which is why 80% of workers live paycheck to paycheck. Half the country can't afford a $400 emergency, and workers haven't had a raise since 1980. We still don't have health care. We still don't have a living wage, and we have people living under every bridge. We don't live in a democracy, which is why we can send $100 billion to the most corrupt country in Europe, while we still don't take care of our own people and they go bankrupt when they get sick. This idea that somehow one party cares about democracy while the others doesn't. You know, they both serve the same corporatocracy, an oligarchy run by corporations.
Yes, welcome back. Maher is getting hit like never before. Recently, Maher and Dr. Phil clashed after daytime host refuses to say that Trump is worse than Joe, but does admit both have been poor presidents. Going down on this article published by the Daily Mail, Maher and Dr. Phil got into a heated exchange after the longtime TV psychologist host conceded that former President Trump was worse than Biden. On Sunday episode of Maher Club, Dr. Phil, whose long-running talk show will come to an end later this year, told the host that his future endeavors will invoke tackling concerns that face the nation.
Trump, you gotta be on the page that he's worse than Joe Biden and very different than Joe Biden. Come on, Doc.
Look, it's not politics that determine the outcome of society, it's culture. I don't care about politics. You go back to the beginning, and Democrat and Republicans have been in control about 50-50. They've had the control of the House and Senate while they were in control of the presidency about 50-50. They've had it not in control 50-50. And look where we are. They both come up about the same place. I don't care about that. I care about our culture.
Okay, I'm disappointed that I can't get you to just out and out say that Trump is a completely different animal than the politics on the left and the right that we both agree is very lacking on both sides.
It begs the question.
He is a completely different element.
Yes, sometimes I do agree with Maher on certain issues when it concerns this culture wars, but in this case, I would say it boldly, I don't agree. Yes, I think I've done about 4 videos partaking to this man, bringing up some talking point that goes against what Libra believes in, and now bringing in this comparison that Trump is worse than Biden. It is something I didn't expect. Dr. Phil made it clear that this is crazy, that they are all the same, which I still didn't agree with Dr. Phil, but he made it clear that Dr. Marsh should understand that this man is not worse. I'll read out this article so you can understand exactly what is going on. I cannot play all this video because of fear of copyright claim. Sometimes this man can be disturbing when it concerns topics where people will go against him.
Can't afford a $400 emergency, and workers haven't had a raise since 1980. We still don't have health care. We still don't have a living wage, and we have people living under every bridge. We don't live in a democracy, which is why we can send $100 billion to the most corrupt country in Europe, while we still don't take care of our own people and they go bankrupt when they get sick. This idea that somehow one party cares about democracy while the others doesn't. You know, they both serve the same corporatocracy, an oligarchy run by corporations. And instead of having a dictator, the dictator has now been replaced with the nameless, faceless corporate state, which controls every part of our being. They control our free speech. what medical treatments we get to experience. The only difference between a Democrat and a Republican is the speed at which their knee hits the ground when a donor enters the room. We don't live in a goddamn democracy, you fucking moron, and you know it. But you don't want to admit it. You want to pretend because it makes you feel comfortable. What about January 6th was supposed to change our mind? A bunch of yahoos in pajama bottoms and buffalo helmets without guns taking a shit in Nancy Pelosi's office? That's what you thought was going to take over our country? That's why they didn't have security there on purpose? So this very thing could happen, and so idiots like you can repeat it? You should be screaming about Citizens United and how corporate captured our government is, because the Democrats have complete control of the party right now, of government, yet they're not talking about getting rid of corporate money in government, which is the thing that actually takes us from a democracy to an oligarchy.
Maher and Dr. Fee got into a heated exchange after the longtime TV psychologist host conceded that former President Trump was worse than Biden. On Sunday episode of Maher Club, whose long-running talk show will come to an end later this year, told the host that his future endeavors will invoke tackling concerns that face the nation, which he believes is headed for a cliff. Maher asked him why he feels the country is heading off a cliff, to which Dr. Phil responded, "Well, it depends on what category you want to talk about. And look, I stay non-political because I think there is idiocy. Because I think the idiocy on both sides. I'm not a big fan of our president or the last one, but I respect the office of the president." Maher immediately took issues with Dr. Fee apparent conflations of the two world leaders. He questioned how he could refer to both of them in the same breath. One of them is much more of a threat to the republic. That would be the 45th. Will you not agree? Maher asked. "Come on, a threat to the republic, Joe." "No," Dr. Fee said. "Joe is a return to normalcy here, too much incensored by his fringe love. He would not even ever tell them to sit down and shut up, but I would take that pagan, much as I don't like it, I would take that pagan over Trump. Come on." Dr. Fee answered diplomatically, "Well, I'm concerned about both sides, about the woke agenda that is being pushed, attempting to change the subject." The pair went on to broadly find themselves on the same page about cultural war issues, but Maher then attempted to redirect the conversation to the comparison between the President Trump. "You gotta be on a page that he is worse than Joe. He is very different than Joe.